Hello out to all you wonderful people. This is Andre the Game, my dear guy. Thank you once again for lending me your time and your ear listening into another Gamer's Thoughts discussion. And this thought really just kind of hit me because apparently I had to see the Street Fighter 3 Third Strike video where all of the characters' special entrances or all the matchup special entrances pop up into the game. And shows me that they gave Sean a lot of attention to detail. He has 4 special entrances with Elena. I'm like, why does he have that many special entrances with her? 3 of them play out on his stage, 1 plays out on hers. So it's like, you're really meant for this character to have more, but you really did so little with him. And then he hasn't been back in the game in a playable capacity officially since 1999. That's a long time. 23 years that this character has not been in a game playable at an official capacity. Now, fans can do whatever they want with fan games, but he has yet to return to official action because I really just think Capcom doesn't know what to do with him. Sadly. But then it comes down to they really don't know what to do with Alex or Sakura either, and these are the other characters that would make sense to take main roles in Street Fighter. Now, as it has been said, I have done my own discussion on this multiple times for Street Fighter 6 well before Capcom announced it. But still, I was hoping that they would go back to the characters that they had been giving all of this build-up that they have done nothing with. You have Sean, who's the brother of Laura, who is a very talented fighter, and he trains under Ken, who is also a very talented fighter. So he should, in theory, be a very talented fighter. But they treated him as a joke in Street Fighter 3. Then you have Alex, who was supposed to be the new face of the series, get pitched to the back burner. And Sakura, who trains, maybe not directly under Ryu, but pretty much under him, or trains to be like him, who has a high potential that gets ignored. And from what I have seen, Sean is popular among people because he's been the request for him to be back in Street Fighter 3, be back in Street Fighter since 3 has happened a lot. And Sakura is highly popular. I think she's literally the most popular character in Street Fighter. And Alex, I don't remember where he placed, but he was pretty high up on the popularity polls too. And he was supposed to be the new face of the series. He was the face of Street Fighter 3. Whether people want to believe that or not, he was the face of Street Fighter 3. They eventually made him the first selectable character in Third Strike, but he was the face of the series. So, considering all that, and the fact that Sean shared a theme with Alex, and he was basically sharing a stage with Alex in the first iteration of Street Fighter 3 in New Generation, which got retconned when they brought out Second Impact Giant Attack. I don't know why that name is so long. It makes no sense that these characters don't get utilized. Like, Capcom, what are you doing? It's like they didn't look at the work that they put into the characters or have people to make sure that their continuity lines up. Now, the interesting thing is, I'm not even mad that Luke is a character that is confirmed for Street Fighter 6. I mean, he was a new character for Street Fighter 5, the last one for the DLC. So it's understandable that they may want to explore that character a little bit more. But you literally have other characters that were supposed to be in the main role or could be in the main role that are getting hopped over for Luke. And I think that that's my irritation. Like, why? Why does Luke have to be the character you put up front? You already had Alex. And then you've got Sean and Sakura. And Sean and Sakura would be the two new Shotos. Sakura being a more traditional Shoto, and Sean being a less traditional Shoto. So, I don't get why Capcom is overlooking these characters for main roles in the series. Both Sean and Sakura would be legacy characters. Sean taking on more of a style similar to Ken's and actually still very unique from Ken's. And Sakura taking a style more akin to what Ryu does, maybe not quite the same as him, but still following along the traditional fighting style. And again, Alex was the big lead character for Street Fighter 3. He was ultimately, I believe, the replacement character for Guile, but he took the main character role. So he, in a sense, was supposed to replace Guile and Ryu. It's just, I don't know, it does boil me a little bit to see these characters basically not getting the shine that they should have had. It just sits odd for me. Especially given that each of them has been requested to be back in games. Sean got wholly ignored. Sakura and Alex have at least been in other games. Sean himself got the crap end of the stick. I mean, Alex ended up in Capcom Fighting Evolution, Tatsunoko versus Capcom, and then made a return to Street Fighter in 5. Sakura has been in multiple different crossover games that Street Fighter characters have appeared in, as well as making a return in Street Fighter 4. Just looking at it, it's like Sakura is the one I'm really surprised that they kind of ignored. Now, I don't have any doubt that she'll be back in 6. And I'm pretty sure Alex might be back in 6. Sean is the one that I don't think they're thinking about bringing back. They should. I don't get how you can put so much time and effort into this character in Street Fighter 3. I mean, especially one after you had already changed the direction that he was supposed to go, being that he was supposed to clearly be the secondary main character for the series when it was initially starting out. And I think that plays itself out in the fact that Second Impact has Yang being his rivalry character, because Yang is very much like him in a sense, as far as like, well, I can say Yang is more calm and collected, but he's got that attitude about himself, like, yeah, I'm the shit. And Sean carries that same attitude. Plus, it would make sense for him to be rivaled against Yang over Yun, because Yun is more the powerhouse, whereas Yang is more the speedster and likes to trip you up and catch you off guard. So those points make sense, because that's more how stylistically how Ken works anyway. He's more about combinations and tripping you up, whereas Ryu is more, and people probably don't realize it when they play, but Ryu is more solid and grounded and hard hitting. So it all falls in line to say, hey, these characters are worth the time and energy that we put into them. How about actually giving them a bone and making them better for the story, the sake of the story? Especially Sean. They still truly have no explanation for how his sister can be so talented and be on par with Ryu as of Street Fighter V, but he's like this grand loser. I mean, it's one thing to say he's arrogant and hot-headed and he gets tripped up over simple stuff, and then the other to make him into a joke like Dan. It's kind of the same thing that Tekken did with Paul Phoenix and Law. I want to say Martial Law, because Forrest is the son. They were both high-tier characters that they turned into a joke. But at least in Tekken's sense, they still give the characters time to shine. Street Fighter is like, nah, we turned you into a joke, we're going to throw you aside. Then if they include Dan in the game, it's like Sean gets ignored even though they don't play alike. Like, they don't even feel the same to play with them. Now, whereas Dan is the understood loser, Sean is the loser with potential. So, I would sit and think, Capcom, you have these characters. You've had Ken and Ryu be the main lead characters for so long. Please put somebody else in those roles and relegate them to being masterclass characters. Just do it. Just do it already. There's no point not to. And we really don't know where in the timeline of Street Fighter 6 is going to fall. Where I talked about it, I wanted 6 to fall after 3. And I'm hoping that's what they're going to do. But there's no guarantee of that. Because they have dabbled in that space between 2 and 3 for so long. So whatever they're planning, I am hoping that they at least move the story forward. Because Street Fighter 3 being the end of the series needs to change. You're going to keep adding in stuff, actually make it worth it. Put us in a place where we don't know how the outcomes are going to affect these characters. Because whether people realize it or not, 4 and 5, Ryu's going to eventually overpower his evil side. And it's done by Street Fighter 3. So, you're kind of playing in the same realm that Dragon Ball Super played with for Dragon Ball Z. The character is going to be okay. Because even if certain things change about the story, there are particular events that we know about that still have to happen. So it takes away tension. And having Ken and Ryu be still basic characters and not having upgrade them also removes the tension for the newer class of characters. Because we're not focusing on their growth and learning and seeing who these characters become. We're still focused mainly on Ryu and, as an aside, Ken. Hopefully that changes. And maybe I am complaining a bit too much, but it needed to be said. But that all said and aside, thank you guys for listening to me ramble. Keep your eyes and ears up for more stuff from me. And until the next time, enjoy your games. Peace out, everybody.